Begin today the Gemara on Daf Tez Zayin, Amud Beis, 6 lines up from the bottom of the Amud. Tanu Rabbanan. Tanu Rabbanan Keshenitfas Rabbi Elazar Leminus. When Rabbi Eliezer, I think it's Rabbi Eliezer actually, this is Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus, he was a Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and he lived in the time of the Churban, when the Romans destroyed the Beis HaMikdash and they made many decrees against Klal Yisrael, not to learn Torah, not to do mitzvahs. So when Rabbi Eliezer was caught, after he was teaching Torah, he was caught Leminus, he was caught by the government, by the heretics, and they wanted to take him and kill him. So hello, the garden lidaim, they brought him into the garden, which is the court that they take a person and they kill him. So Amaloi, Oise Hagmain Zakein, Oise Hagman that is, so the Hagmain, which is the ruler that was there at that time, said to Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus, Zakein Shekamaischa, a old and wise individual like you, Yasek B'dvarim B'Teilim, is busy with such silly matters, doing mitzvahs and learning Torah, B'dvarim B'Teilim halalu. Amaloi, so Rabbi Eliezer tells him, Neman alai hadayan, I trust the judge. That's how he responded. What did he mean to say? He meant to say by this that he trusts Hashem, that judged him and is bringing this punishment on him that he's going to be killed, and whatever Hashem wants, I trust him. So this ruler thought that Allah that he's telling him that I trust you, whatever you're going to do to me, I trust you. But he was saying this for his Father in heaven. So this Hagman, this ruler said to him, or the other gears over here is vehemantani. Since you accepted my trust upon you, so Dimos, which was the name of an Avoda Zara, he's swearing in the name of this Avoda Zara that you're exempt, that you'll be paterata, you're free. So he allowed him to go back home. When he came back to his home, his students came in to visit him and to console him about this incident that happened. Meaning he was very upset that the fact that Hashem allowed such a thing to happen to him, that he was caught and he went through all this pain, that it means that he deserves some kind of punishment. And he was trying to figure out what this is. He didn't accept any of their words that they said to console him. So Rabbi Akiva says to Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Akiva was actually one of his students. And he says, Rabbi, my teacher, allow me to say something to you that you yourself have taught me. So Rabbi Eliezer says, tell me. So Rabbi Akiva says to him, Rabbi, my teacher, maybe there was some idea of heresy that came to you that you heard, and it was something that you appreciated, you accepted it, and because you accepted some heresy that was said to you, this is the reason why you were now punished, that you were caught by the government. So Amaloi, Rabbi Eliezer responded and said, Akiva, my student Akiva, his kartani, yes, you reminded me that this actually happened. Because I was once walking in the marketplace, the upper marketplace in the city of Tzipairi, and I encountered an individual, and his name was Yaakov, a man from a town, Schania.
In the little heart at the bottom, it says...
The what?
It says, Yeshu.
Yeah, okay. So he's from the students of Isaiah of Yeshu. Okay, so he was a heretic. So Amali, and he said to me, it says in your Torah, you may not bring to the Beis HaMikdash to use anything which is a esnan zayna, a gift that was used for a zayna. So he had the following question. Can you use the money of this gift, of this esnan zayna, to be used to make the bathroom that has to be used for the Kohen Gadol? What is this referring to? This refers to the Kohen Gadol that for 7 days before Yom Kippur it has to be brought in the Lishkas Palhedrin, and he has to prepare there, and they have to prepare for him also a bathroom. So are you allowed to take from this gift of the Esnan Zayna to build for this bathroom for this Kohen Gadol? What was the Shaila? So the Shaila over here, Tosfos says that Min HaTorah this would not be Asar, because this Lishkas Palhedrin is not built in the Zara, it's built outside the Zara, which is in the Har HaBayis. And the Har HaBayis you're allowed to use from Esnan Zayna to build. It's only in the Beis HaMikdash itself or in the Zara where you're not allowed to use from Esnan Zayna. So Min HaTorah would be allowed. But he was asking whether the Chacham were machmer that it shouldn't be used for this, even if it's in the Harabayas. That was the Shaila. And I did not answer him. So Eliezer is saying, I did not answer this heretic because he understood that he's not looking really for an answer. So Amali, and then this heretic, Yaakov, he said to me, Kach limdani, this is what I was taught about this. There's a pasuk where it says, Kimi esnan zayna kovtza, kavotz, kibotza, that they gathered from a gift that was taken from Esnan Zayna, and that Esnan Zayna yeshuvu. And then they return it to Esnan Zayna. Now, simply, it's a pasuk, it's a micha, where over there the pasuk is describing that in the time of the Churban, so they destroy and they take from the Avoda Zara that Eden built, and from Esnan Zayna, and they bring it to their Avoda Zara, and they return it, bringing it to their Avoda Zara. Now, this heretic said, and darshan to Rabbi Eliezer, Mimakim atinofis bo, that this is Esnan Zayna that comes from a dirty, filthy place, Lamakim atinofis yalecho, and it'll be utilized, it'll be taken also to a filthy place. So therefore he was saying that from this pasuk is a source that you could take this gift of the Esnan Zayna and use it to build a bathroom for the Kohen Gadol because it's going to a filthy place. That was the way he darshan this pasuk. It's not a correct drasha, it's not a good source, but v'hina'ani hadavar, but this he appreciated. Rabbi Eliezer appreciated how he darshan this pasuk, and al yidei zeh nitfasti leminus, and it's because of this that I was caught by the heretics. Va'avarti al mashakasav b'teireh, I did not listen what the pasuk says. Harchek me'alel darkecha, that you should stay away, far away from their ways. Which ways is it referring to? Zuminis, from heretics. And then it says, and continued over there in that pasuk, it says, Al tikrav al pesach beisa, do not get close to the door of their home. Zu haroshus. This refers to the governments. That if you get too close to the governments, so then they can start looking into your financials and they'll see who you are and what you are, and they'll try to take away your money. So keep a distance from them. Or ve'eked amri, others say the way this pasuk is darshaned is harchek mi'aleh darkecha zu minas ve'arashus, stay away from heretics and from government. And valtikrav el pesach beisa zu zayna, don't get close to the house of a zayna. Okay, so this was the incident that happened to Rabbi Eliezer, and he explained that this was the reason why he was then caught by the government. Okay, but now the Gemara explains this drasha that it says here that one should stay away from the house of a zayna, v'kama, how far away? Omer Rav Chizda, arba amas. You should stay away 4 amas.
That's enough.
Yeah, because it says al tikrav. Al tikrav is 4 amas. 4 amas is the space of a person, or others say that we dash in the word pesach. Pesach, the Gemara says in the Bava Basra that the door of a person by his doorway gets a space of 4 amas if you have a partnership with someone. So you stay away 4 amas. V'Rabbanon haime esnan zayne mai darshibei. So the Rabbanon that didn't darshan this pasuk, that this heretic Yaakov darshan it the way he darshan this. So how do we darshan that pasuk? So the Gemara explains K'der Rav Chizda. It darshan the way Rav Chizda explained this pasuk. The Omer Rav Chizda kol zayna sheniskeres, a zayna that hires herself out for these kinds of avedas, l'b'sayf hisecheres. In the end, she will become so despicable in the eyes of people that she will have to pay money. She will have to hire people to do an aveda with her. Shanemar, the pasuk says another place. So that's what it means over here when the pasuk says Leisavi esnan. Where's the pasuk again? Ki me esnan zayna kabotzavad esnan zayna yeshuva. That in the beginning she'll be gathering money for herself, but in the end she'll have to return all that money because she's going to have to hire other people to do an aveda with her. And another source here is the pasuk says ubisitcha esnan ve'esnan leinitin loch. That this esnan, she was receiving gifts from people for this Aveda, but now she's going to try to hire others. She's going to give in order for her to be able to do an Aveda with others, and nothing will be given to her. Vatihila heipach, and things are going to be for her and the opposite, the way they were originally. That's what happens to someone that lowers herself down to such a level that she ends up in this place. Okay, now the Gemara will focus on this point that was mentioned here regarding arayas and regarding a zayna, that one has to stay away. And the Leisikra of the Gemara said to stay away 4 amas. Says the Gemara, "Pliga de Rapidas." What was said here argues on what Rapidas said. Amar Rapidas said, "Le'osra teira ela kreva shel gili arayas polvat." In the parsha of arayas, when it speaks about all the different isurim of arayas, what did the Torah say is forbidden? not to get close on Gilead eyes, literally Gilead eyes, but not any distance. The Torah does not say that it's necessary. Shenama, the pasuk says, "Ish al kol she'er b'sorei lesikrivu legali sarva." So when it says sikrivu means only legali sarva. So when you learn here in Rashi, it seems that the Gemara is simply saying that a Pados holds that there's no Isser of Kreva, of staying far away. It's only the Isser of Gilead Ayis Mamish. Taisa says that there's no reason to say that Rav Pados argues on the point that Rav Chisda said before, that one should stay away for Amos. He's just saying that the source of the pasuk that was brought before is not a good source, because he brought the source from the term tikrav. That's not necessarily a good source, because we see here that the term tikravu, it says in the Torah, tikravu legales erva. But even if this is not the source, Rav Pados agrees that there's still midrabanan, a takana that one should stay away for Amos. So Ulla, the Gemara brings in connection to this, how Ulla himself behaved. Ki hava osimi beirav, when he came home from the Beis Medrash, have menashik lohula achsei, he kissed his sisters, abeyadayu, on their hand or on their arm, or v'amrila abeychadayu, or he kissed them on their chest. Meaning that he did not, so we're talking about an erva, a sister. This is one of the arayas, and he kissed them. And now the Gemara says regarding this, Plige didei adidei. What Ulla did, the way he himself behaved, is going against what he himself said in a different place. Because the Amar Ulla said, Kreva ba'alma osa, that when you get close to something which is forbidden for you, it's not allowed. Where did he say this? He says this regarding a nazir. Right? So a nazir, one of the things is that he's not allowed to eat from a vineyard or drink wine. And he said, Mishum leich amrin nizire. We say to a nazir, go, schar lekarma, go around the vineyard, don't come inside the vineyard, don't get close to the vineyard.
Why?
So not to stay away from the Isser. So here we see that Ulla himself says that when there's an Isser in Atayra, you have to keep a distance. But regarding the Isser of Arayas, he himself didn't keep a distance with his own sister. Taisus over here says that Ulla was very sure with himself. There's another place where the Gemara says that for a tzaddik, for a Talmud Chacham, there's no concern about this. It's like a kikshura. It's like a beam. There's no feeling. It doesn't affect at all. So therefore, Ulla for himself didn't have to keep any distance.
When Ishchai brings down the Niyalpi Kabbalah, where there's a Chesed and Gavur by your aunt.
Okay.
You're allowed to
kiss. Okay, good. Say that, but this halacha about not kissing one sister is brought to halacha. The Rambam brings it. It's brought in Shulchan Aruch that even though it's allowed, but nevertheless the Rambam says it's not the proper anhaga and so on. This is over here the source for this in the Gemara here.
Interesting. It says like a beam, like in Tanya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, even more than that. Taisa brings this lashon kikishura. Okay, now there's another pasuk that's connected to this theme. It says in the pasuk la aluka shtei banois hav. The leech has two daughters that say give. So what is this pasuk is a mashal? What is it a mashal for? My have. What is these two daughters that say give? So Amar Okve says Kail shtei banois shetzaykes migehenim. This is the voice of two daughters that are in Gehenim and they scream out. When were they screaming? Va'imrais bailam hazeh have. In this world they were saying give me. And because of that, they're in Gehenim and they are getting their punishment. Who are these two that in this world say give? Minus. These are the heretics that are constantly collecting for and asking everyone to pledge for Avoda Zara, and V'harashos, and also the government, corrupt government we're talking about, that takes away people's money. So because of what they did in this world, and they screamed in this world, Hav, give me, so therefore they're burning in Gehenna. Or another version to this, Iked Amri, Amr Rav Chisda, Amr Marokve, Rav Chisda quoted Marokve, and he said that it's the Kol Gehenim that Sayekes Va'imeres. It's the voice of the Gehenim itself that screams out and says, Haviu li shtei banais, bring me those two daughters, Shet Sayekes Va'imeres Ba'ilam Hazeh Have. That in this world we're screaming, give me. So these two daughters is the mashal for the heretics, the ones that serve Avoda Zara, or corrupt government that was collecting and taking away people's money. Another pasuk in connection to this, regarding to someone that was a heretic and served Avoda Zara in this world, Kol ba'eho lo yeshuvun, all those that come there in this place to serve Avoda Zara will not do tshuva, v'le'esigu archas chaim, and they will not reach any way of life. So the Gemara asks, how do we understand this pasuk? If they do not do tshuva, so heichen yasigu, how should they get life? It's obvious. So as the Gemara answers, this is how you read the pasuk. It has to be divided. First, the pasuk says lo yeshuvah. They don't do tshuva. And the second half of the pasuk is saying v'im yeshuvu. Even if they do tshuva, lo yasigu orches chayim. They will not have life. After they do tshuva, they will not have life. What's the reason for this? So Rashi over here says that the ones that do tshuva, they will die quickly because of all the tzaris that they have, that they had to work so hard against their Yetzer Hara. It's a gzeiras melech, Rashi says, the Lashon of Rashi, gzeiras melech, that they will die. The Marsha explains that the reason for this is because this is a person that was involved in Avoda Zara to such a deep extent, even after he does tshuva, because there's a concern that he'll fall back to his ways, the Eibusher saves him and takes away his life, that when he's in a good place, when he's in a place of tshuva, let him die in that good place so he shouldn't fall back to his old ways. That's what the Gemara means. But this is specifically regarding a person that was involved in minus, in heresy, and in Avoda Zara, as the Gemara here will discuss. So the Gemara asks this, shall we say, that a person that does tshuva and separates from Avoda Zara, this person will die right away. But here the story is, there was a woman that came in front of Rav Chisda, and she said to Rav Chisda, she wanted to do tshuva. And she said, we want to know what's the lightest Aveda that I did. That she did, that her younger son was born from a relation that she had with her older son. That was a light Aveda that he did. What? So when Rav Chisda heard this, Rav Chisda said, Tarchula bizvadata. Prepare for her shrouds, because if she's doing tshuva, she's going to die. But what ended up happening is, v'loi meisa. She did not die. So now, what is this? Why did she not die? So the Gemara asks, if she said that this was the lightest Aveda, that she had a relation with her son and she gave birth to another child, so that's what she did. So then definitely she also was involved in heresy and involved in serving Avoda Zara. And nevertheless, when she did tshuva, she did not die. So the Gemara before said that when one does tshuva from heresy, the Eibusher will take his life at that point. So the Gemara answers, that's because she didn't do tshuva fully, properly. If she would have done tshuva fully, then Hashem sees a person that's in a perfect place, takes his life and brings him into Gan Eden. But over here, she did not do tshuva fully. Therefore, she did not die. Okay, another version to the question and to how this story here went with Rav Chisda. Iked Amri, others say as follows: that the question here was asked, Miminus in, only when one does tshuva from heresy, then he will die at that point. But me'aveda loy. But if it's an aveda, not aveda over here refers to gilui arayos, to forbidden relations, and one does tshuva from that. So over here, this will not happen. That if the person does tshuva from this, he will die. But this story with this woman that came in front of Rav Chisda, Rav Chisda said to her, prepare for her shrouds. This simple taich of zvadata, by the way, means prepare for someone that say the laderech, what they need to go for their way. So but over here it refers to, as Rashi says, prepare the tachrichim. She's going to go and she's going to pass away. And according to this version of the story, that's what happened. Umesa, she died. So what do you see over here? So the Gemara is asking a question. Here's the question. The question is, over here you see that this woman did tshuva from her Avedas of Gilui Arayos, and she passed away. And before we said that only when one does tshuva from minus, from heresy, that's when one passes away. And so the Gemara answers, since she said that this Aveda, she had a relation with her son, that's a light Aveda that she did, so that means that she was also she also did Aveda in heresy, and therefore when she did tshuva from this, she died. Okay, but the Gemara continues asking. Here comes the story of Rabbi Loza ben Durdaya.
Yeah.
If a person does tshuva from an Aveda of Gilui Arayos, will he not die at that point? But Vatanya, we learned in the story in a brayso that says as follows. It was said about Rabbi Loza ben Durdaya, he did not leave one zayna in the world that he did not go after to have a relation with her. And pa'machas, once it happened, the shama he heard, sheyesh zayna achas bekrachi hayam, that there's a zayna that's in some island or in some place overseas. Vaystanitelas kis dinin b'schara, but she would take a big pay, a wallet of dinner for a pay. So Natal kis dinrin, he took a wallet full of dinrin, v'holach, and he went for over shivin naris, and he traveled, and he had to go through 7 rivers to come and reach her. And then finally, when he was with her, b'shas hergel, Dovar, when he was in a relation with her, he ficha, so she passed wind, and Omra, and she says to him, Kishem shehaficha zu eina chezeres l'mekayma, just like the wind that came out of my body will not return back to its place. Kach Eloza ben Durdaya ein mekabel noisa b'tshuva. So too you, Eloza ben Durdaya, that did what he did, will not be accepted to do tshuva. So when he heard this, and he realized how far and how low he fell, that the doors are closing on him, and he won't be able to do tshuva, so halach v'yoshav ben shnei horim. Ugvois, he sat between mountains. And Omar, he said, horim ugvois, the mountains, bakshulai rachmim, daven for me, beg mercy of Hashem for me. And so Taisus over here says, we'll see here, he is having a conversation with mountains, with heaven and earth. This is all a conversation that he's having with himself, speaking in his mind. That's what Taisus here says. So Omruloi, they responded to him and said, Ad she'onu mevakshim alecha. We have to, instead of us asking mercy from Hashem for you, we have to ask for ourselves. Shanema, the pasuk says, Ki yaharim yamushu v'agvois timutana. The mountains will move or collapse, so we have to ask for ourselves that we should continue to exist. Right? So as the Mefarshim over here say, what was he asking them for mercy for? He was asking that they should daven that if he does tshuva, he should not die, because he was afraid he's going to do tshuva, and then Hashem will take his life after he does tshuva, so he's davening that he should not die. And then Omar, he davened further, then he said, Shamayim v'aretz, bakshu alai rachmim. Heaven and earth should daven on my behalf, ask Hashem for mercy. So Omar, they also responded and said, Ashanu v'vakshem alecha, and that while you are asking us to daven for you, nevakash al atzmeinu, we have to ask for our own existence. Shana, because the pasuk says, Ki shamayim ka'asha nimlachu, v'aretz kebeget tivla, that heaven, like smoke, will all be destroyed, and earth as well, like a garment, will wither away. So we have to daven for our own existence. So Omar, he continued and said to himself, the sun and the moon should daven for me. Omar, and they also responded and said, and while you want us to daven for you, you have to daven for ourselves. It says, this is actually going to loss of love. When Mashiach comes, the sun and the moon will be embarrassed from the great level of revelation. So Amari further said, the stars, the constellations should daven for me. So Amari, they said, we have to daven for ourselves. The pasuk says, all the tzva shamayim will all melt away. So we have to daven for our own existence. There's a discussion before the Mashal, the Maral, they explained over here all these levels, all these steps, exactly what he was davening for, what he wanted they should help him out with. After all of this, he realized that he wants to do tshuva, and he wants the assistance from all these different levels of existence, and he realized that nobody is going to come and help him to do tshuva. So Amar, he said, Ein adova toli elabi. This is all in my hands. So here, he did tshuva, hiniach roishay ben birkov. He put his heads between his knees, and the go b'pchiyah, and he cried very strongly to the point that he did such a level of tshuva, at sheyotza nishmasei, and his neshama left his body. And Yotza Baska va'omra, at that point the Baska came out and said, Rabbi Loza ben Durdaya mzumin l'chaya ilam haba. And his tshuva was real and complete and was accepted. He's invited to come into Ilam Haba. So what's the Gemara proving from here? That over here we see, what was his Aveda? His Aveda was Gilead Arayis. And he did tshuva, and the Eibusha took his life. So from here we see that not only a heretic that does tshuva, Hashem takes his life, because of the tshuva that he did completely. We see the same over here by the story of Lazar and their diet. So the Gemara asks, we see over here that his involvement was in Avedis of Gilead Arayis, and when he did tshuva, he died. And says the Gemara, Hasam Nami, in the case of Rabbi Lazar ben Derdai, even the other Beituve, since he was so attached, as Gemara described before in the story, he was so attached to Gilead Arayis, Kimin is Damya. So therefore, for him, it's similar to a heretic that can't separate himself, and therefore Deibsha takes his life, and the same is also with Rabbi Lazar ben Derdaya. Bacha Rebbe, regarding this end of the life of Rabbi Lazar ben Derdaya, Rebbe cried and he said, V'amar, Yesh, Kaina Ilamai, B'kameshonim. There's a person that gets his world, Ilam Haba, has to work many years, Yesh, Kaina Ilamai, B'shah Achas. And there's a person that can acquire his world, can acquire Olam Haba in one moment. And that's the story with Rabbi Elazar ben Derdaya. Right, so in Chassidus it's brought from Kisvei Arizal that Rabbi Elazar ben Derdaya was a Gilgul of Yochanan Kohen Gadol. That was a Kohen Gadol for 80 years. And then at the end, he became a Tzadiki. And therefore, he lost everything he did in his life. But what happened to all the Torah mitzvahs that he did for 80 years in his life? So the Rabbi Elazar ben Derdaya was a Gilgul from him, and he took that whole life of 80 years, and now he did tshuva. He had a moment where he was able to do tshuva and elevate that entire 80 years of his life. And another point Rebbe said, Rebbe additionally said, not only are Bali Tshuva going to be accepted, furthermore, he got a title of Rebbe. He was called Rebbe Elazar ben Derdaya. So that's the power of the Tshuva that he did.
Elazar died all his life, or just the
Again?
Elazar died. His whole life was he went.
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like, or a big part of his life. Yeah. This story, this Rabbi Elazar ben Derdaya, is also brought in Tanya, in Perek Mem Gimel, where the Alter Rebbe speaks about Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem, and there the Alter Rebbe says that B'derech Klal, the normal Seder in Avodas Hashem is first Yira and then Ava. But there's exceptions. Hiraz Shah. And the Alter Rebbe says, here, Rabbi Elazar ben Derdaya was Hiraz Shah. He didn't have any Yiras Hashem, as we see of his behavior in his life. But he came to a moment where he realized how low he felt. And he had a tremendous, deep yearning to return to the Eibishter, which is an Ava. And that Ava, without any introduction of Yireh, brought him to this connection, to this level of tshuva. This is a Hiraz Shah. That's what Alter Rebbe learns from this story here.
Rabbi, but the sun, the stars, and all these wonderful things will help him make tshuva. I mean, a person like Elazar can cause them to disintegrate. I mean, it's like
no, not he will cause. They would disintegrate on their own. Nothing to do with him. Yeah. Okay, the Gemara continues. Rab Chanina v'Rab Yonasan have a gazli b'orcha. They were both walking on their way. So Matu lahanet trei shvili. They came to a sort of a fork in the road where there were two pathways that they had to choose where to go. One is passing the house of Avoda Zara, and and one will be passing through the house of Zionist. So where should they go? So one says to his colleague, it's safer to pass by the house of Avoda Zara. And the reason is because the Nachas Yitzrei. Because we know the Gemara says in a few places that the Chachamim shechted Avoda Zara, the Yitzhahar of Avoda Zara. So if we're going to pass by Avoda Zara, it's not going to be anything that will draw us in there, and it's more safe to go there. So the other said to his colleague, no, Nezel apischa de Bezainis. Let's pass by the go on the road down that passes by the place of where the Zionist is. And v'nichvele Yitzran, and we will be strong and subdue our Yitzhahara, and v'nakabel agra, and we'll receive reward for this. So this is what they did. They went down that road, which is the Pesach of Zionist. Kimato Hasam. So when they came by the places where the Zionists were, Chazinu l'Zionist iskano mekamayu. They saw that those Zionists that were sitting outside, that they are subdued from these great Chachamim that passed through, and they ran away and they went back into their tents. So they actually had the power to overcome this Yitzhahara. And not only that, the Zionists ran away from them. So Amalei, so one said to the other advised that we should go down this road. How did you know this? How did you know that you could go down such a place where there's Zionists and you had the power to overcome them, that they would run away from you? Amalei, so he answered him, because there's a pasuk in Mishlei where it says, Mizima tishmar alecha, tevuna sinserechka. Which means, as the Gemara will darshan here, that the Torah that they learned will protect them from not having a connection to these Zionists. So the Gemara explains what's the meaning of the words Mizima Tishmar Alecha. Amalei Rabbanan l'Ravas. One of the Rabbanan said to Rava, "My Mizima." When it says in the pasuk the word Mizima, that Mizima protects you. That's what it seems like it's saying. That Mizima is the source of the protection. What is Mizima? If you would say that the word Mizima refers to Taira, why? The Chsiv Ba in the Taira it says the pasuk Zima. The term Zima, the word in the Taira Zima actually is used in the Taira in the negative. Shara Heina Zima Hi, but on Metargeminon. The Targum says in the word Zima, Atzas Chetin, that this is a Eitzah, it's advice, or it's a plan of an Aveda. So over here, the word Mizima could also be used in the positive, that this is the Torah that gives a person a plan and advice. Uksiv, there's a pasuk that says regarding Torah, Hifli Eitzah Higdal Tushia, that Torah gives a person very good advice. So we can touch that the word Mizima here means Torah, which gives a person good advice. So the Torah that gives you advice Tishmer Alecha, protects you. That's what he said. That's how he knew that he's going to be protected. But the Gemara says that can't be the word, what the word mizima means, because ihachi zima mibayle. It should have said zima. Why does it say mizima? So therefore the Gemara says that we have to darshan the pasuk differently. Hachi ka'amar, the Bachir adds, mizima means midvar zima, tishmer alecha, from a matter of zima, which actually refers to znus. From a matter of znus, tishmer alecha, Torah, the Torah will protect you. Some are going to say the word tinsereka, or not going to say the word, the Torah will protect you from a matter of zima. And therefore, they felt safe to go down that way, and the Zionists ran away from them. Tan Rabbanon, another story here the Gemara brings in connection to the first story that we started off with, that Rabbi Eliezer was caught by the heretics, by the Romans, and they wanted to kill him. So we learned another story. Keshenitvesu Rabbi Eliezer ben Prota, Rabbi Chanina ben Tradian. They were both caught by the Romans as well. So some out of here, Leminus, saying that they were caught by the heretics. So Amalei Rabbi Eliezer ben Prota, Rabbi Chanina ben Tradian. Rabbi Eliezer ben Prota says to Rabbi Chanina ben Tradian, Ashrecha, you are fortunate that you were caught and you're only being accused of one thing. But I was caught and I'm being accused of 5 different things, as the Gemara will soon specify what they are. But Rab Chanina responded and said to him, fortunate are you, you're being accused of 5 different things, but you're going to be saved. Woe to me that I was caught for only one matter, and they're accusing me of one matter, but I'm not going to be saved. And what's the difference? Because you learned Torah, and you also did Gemilas Chasadim, kindness for people. And I was only Isaac in Torah and not Gemilas Chasadim, and therefore I will not be saved by the Torah that I learned. This is what Rav Chanina ben Tradian is saying. Rav Huna taught this. Rav Huna said, one that learns only Torah and he does not do any Gemilas Chasadim, it's like he doesn't have a God. Shenema, as the pasuk says, V'yomim rabim liyisrael l'loy elekei emes. What does this mean? That they have no God? My l'loy elekei emes shekol ha'isik b'Torah b'lvad. One that only learns Torah, doime kemi she'ein loy elekah. It's like a person that has no God to protect him. And that's the emes. The emes is when a person is also doing Gemilas Chasadim. And Alter Rebbe explains this in Torah. There's a famous Maimon where the Alter Rebbe says that when a person only learns Torah and doesn't do Gemilas Chasadim, so that shows that his level of Avoda Hashem is only according to his nature. And he's not doing something which is necessarily for the Eibishter's sake, even when it's not his nature. Right, so when one does Torah and Gemilas Chasadim, then he's connected to Hashem be'emes, and it'll be a protection for him. So Rabbi Chanina ben Tradian was saying about himself that he was not Isaac in Gemilas Chasadim. So the Gemara asks him this, how could you say this? Ube Gemilas Chasadim loy asak. Rabbi Chanina ben Tradian was not Isaac in Gemilas Chasadim. But what Tanya we learned in the Braise, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov said that layitim odom ma'isav la'anaki shel tzedakah. You shouldn't give your money to be placed in a arnaki, in a wallet, or in a fund for tzedakah, elam kain mumuna olav Talmud Chacham Rab Chanina ben Tradian, unless the one that's appointed on this tzedakah is the individual that's like on the level of Rab Chanina ben Tradian, that was a gabbai tzedakah that could be trusted. This was actually brought in yesterday's Rambam. Yesterday's Rambam with Gimel Prakim, he brings this, Rab Chanina ben Tradian. So you see that Rab Chanina ben Tradian was a gabbai tzedakah. So how could you say it wasn't Isaac in Gemilas Chasadim? So the Gemara says, no, the fact that he was a gabbai tzedakah is not a proof that he gave tzedakah. Hemnua hu dahava mehemen. He was trusted to take care of this tzedakah fund. But me'eved lo yavet. He didn't necessarily give any tzedakah. But the Gemara asks further from a different place where we see that he gave tzedakah. So my greatest here. V'lo yavet tzedakah. He did not give any tzedakah. But what Tanya we learned in the Braise, Omar loy mois shall put him nischalfuli b'mois shall tzedakah. That he said that he had money that was designated to be used for the Suda of Purim, and that money of that he was put aside for the Suda of Purim, nischalfuli b'mois shall tzedakah, it got mixed into the money of tzedakah that was designated for the fund to give out to poor people. V'chelaktim la'aniyim. And I gave it out for poor people. So Mevad, I'll tell you the question. So this is a story actually about Rab Chanina ben Tradian. that he said that his own personal money got mixed into the money of tzedakah and he gave it out. He didn't take back the money for himself and he gave it out to poor people. That's one pshat that Rashi says. And another pshat that Rashi says is that he had money that he collected from people for the Suda of Purim, and instead he ended up giving it to poor people. It was distributed to poor people for other tzedakahs. But you see over here from this story that Reb Chanina ben Tradian himself was giving out money to tzedakah, and he gave from his own money to tzedakah as well. So how could you say Reb Chanina ben Tradian was not Isaac in tzedakah? So the Gemara answers, Meved Ovid. Reb Chanina ben Tradian did do Gemilas Chasadim, but Kedeboyele loy Ovid. But as much as was necessary on his level to give, because he was rich and he had more to give, that he did not do on the proper level. This is a famous line. The Gemara also brings this line regarding in Ksubis, regarding I think it's Nagdim ben Gurion, and he was very rich, and he supported all the Yidden in the time when there was a siege that was placed around the city. And the Gemara there in Ksubis says that he didn't do as much as he should have. The Rebbe quoted this many times. So that's why he was saying that he did not do Gemilas Chasadim. Okay, so what happened to these two Tanoim? Rabbi Elazar ben Prata and Rabbi Chanina ben Tradian. So the Gemara here brings the story, Barichas, of what happened to them. Okay, so we'll see here now the first part of the story, what happened to Rabbi Elazar ben Prata. So Asiul Rabbi Elazar ben Prata, so the ones that arrested Rabbi Elazar ben Prata, they brought him, and Amru, they said to him, my time at Tonis, why are you learning Torah? There's a Gzeira not to learn, or my time at Ganafta. And why did you also steal? They also accused him of stealing. So Amalahu, he responded to them and said that what you're accusing me of is not true, because Isaife loy safra, a person that holds a sword and steals, does not study and does not learn. V'isafra, if I'm studying and I'm teaching Torah, so then loy saife, so I'm not holding a sword in my hand and stealing. In other words, he was proving to them that if you're accusing me of both of these things, this must be a lie, because it can't be both of them are true. So if I'm not a ganev, so that means that I didn't teach Torah either. So they asked him, my time, another thing they accused him of, Gemara said before, he was accused of 5 things. My time, Rebbe. So why does everybody refer to you as a Rebbe? That means that you're teaching Torah. So he said, yeah, I am a teacher. But Rabban shall tarsi money. I am a teacher that teaches weaving. I'm not teaching Torah. I'm teaching them how to weave. So they wanted to see if what he's saying is true. So isolate trei kiburi. They brought him 2. How did they translate kiburi there? They brought him these 2 balls or rolls of I forgot the exact coils. I think it is of thread. So Amrulay, and they said to him that if you're proficient in weaving, so let's see if you can tell us hi the shasya, v'hai the arva. Which one is the chassis? Which one is the erev? Which one is the, how do you say it in English? The warp and the woof. Which one is which? Yeah. If you could identify them. Okay, so now for him to identify the difference between them, he's not a weaver. How's he going to know? So a miracle occurred. Asya ziburta. So there was a fly or a bee that was a nekeva, a female. Aisiva al the shasya, and sat on the shasya, on the chassis. Asya zibura, and then a male fly or a bee came, vayasiv al the arva, and sat on the erev. So now he was able to tell which one is what. Because by the chassis and the erev, you first put the chassis it is, and then you put the erev on top of it. So he knew, seeing from which was the zacha, which was the nekeva, he was able to see which one is which. So Amaluhu, he was able to identify and say, hi the chassis, this is the chassis, hi the erev, and this is the erev. And so according to Rashi, this is the pshat, that there was a zachar and a nekeva. Tosfos says it can't be a zachar and a nekeva because by such little bees or flies, you can't see the difference between a zachar and a nekeva. So therefore Tosfos says the zibura and ziburta are 2 different minim. Have a similar name, but it's 2 different meaning, which gave him the indication of what is what. Another thing the Farshim say, that usually by threads, even if you're not a weaver, you're able to see what's the chassis and what's the erev, but over here it's talking about linen, and specifically by pishtan, by linen, it's very difficult to see the difference, and that's what they were asking him. They wanted to see if he would know. And Eibusha made this ness. Okay, further. So they accused him of something else. So far, the Gemara mentioned 3 things they accused him of. Now there's a 4th thing they accused him. Why didn't you come to Be'avidam, which was the house of Avoda Zara, to join them in their celebration? So Amalo, he answered, Zakina Yisi, I'm old, Umisyari Ani, I'm afraid, Shemet Termisuni Biraglechem, that I'll be trampled on with your feet. So Amru, they said to him, V'ad Idna, Kamasabi Itremus, until today, Was there any older person that came there that was ever trampled upon? So what are you saying? That you're afraid you're going to be trampled upon? This never happened until today. So again, Israchish Nisa, a nes happened. On that very day, in that place of Be'avida, there was an old person that was trampled upon. So that proved that what he said was true. And the last thing they accused him of, my time the kashafkis avdoch lecheres. Why did you allow your Evet Kanani to go free? What was the problem? Why would they mind that he's freeing his Evet Kanani? So the reason is because they made a gzeira not to keep anything of Yiddishkeit, anything of the religion. And you freed him based on the halachas of Torah, that you have to give a star shechra in order for him to be freed al pi Torah, and that was their proof that he's keeping Torah. So Amalahu, he said to them, never happened, I never did this. So now, one of them that was there got up to testify against him that he did free him in the Torah way. Also, Eliyahu Navi came and he appeared to this person that wanted to testify against him. He appeared like one of those prominent people of the government. And Amalei, and he said to this witness, just like a miracle occurred regarding the other things they accused him of, and he was saved. Regarding this, a miracle will also happen. And Vahu Gavre, and that individual, meaning this person that wants to be a witness against him, that he's only going to see a bad end if he's going to come and testify against Rabbi Elazar ben Prota. He didn't listen to what Eliyahu Navi told him. He got up to say a testimony against Rabbi Elazar ben Prota, and what happened was, punkt at that time, haveksive igrise, there was a letter that was written, the haveksiv mechashivi de malchus, that was written by the prominent officials of the government, l'shadure lebe Caesar, that had to be sent to the Caesar in Rome. V'shadrua al yodeh. And this person that wanted to testify, he was taken, and he couldn't testify, he was taken to be the agent to go and deliver this letter. Al Yadi Dahu Gavre, through this individual. So now what happened when this person was taken to deliver the letter? Asa Eliyahu Hanavi picked up this person, Paske Arba Meye Parse, and he threw him away 400 parsa, a very far distance away. Ozal, so he left the courthouse where they were in, when they were judging Rabbi Elazar ben Prota, and Veloyasa. And he never came back. And this is how Rabbi Elazar ben Prota was saved from them. He was able to prove that he wasn't, all the accusations were not true. After this, the Gemara will say the story of Reb Chanina ben Tradim, what happened with him.
So the Goy never testified?